What's up, guys? You know who it is. Everybody say it on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. djwoopig. And today we're back in the shop because we got nothing else to do. You know, everybody during this time, especially if you're watching it currently, everybody's got a lot of downtime with the whole coronavirus thing going on. A lot of shows have been canceled, postponed. That leaves you with empty weekends, and if you're doing this full time, it leaves you with an empty slate of things to do during the day. Hopefully you guys are using this time to, you know, wisely, whether it's you're spending it at home, spending it on your business, spending it on your website, doing some organization. I'm doing all of the above. I've been, you know, this has given me a chance to work on my nursery at home for our upcoming child, which I probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Now I've got a lot of time to really just make it awesome for my little man coming. Speaking of, you guys are like killing it on our baby registry. Even my wife was like, she knows that I got some cool supporters out there, because we get these phone calls at 5 o'clock in the morning from random people all over the world. But she didn't know that like y'all would show up on the baby registry, and she was blown away. So what we're gonna do actually, as we get closer, probably sometime in May, our baby's due in June, we're gonna do like a live baby shower on the internet. So if you guys have purchased anything from the wish list, we're going to do like a live stream. We're going to give shout outs, say thank yous, because you guys are awesome. In the past couple weeks with the downtime, I've gotten some questions on organization. What are you doing to organize your cables to make sure A, that you get them back, but B, you kind of know what you have. And I think that's a great topic, something that you guys can work on in your downtime to ensure once you go out with these gigs, it's going to be as easy as possible for you to identify your cables and to keep them, make sure that they're yours and nobody walks off with them, because you can look at the cable right off the bat and say, hey, that's my cable, put it down. So if you're anything like me, you have a rolling trunk just full of all kinds of cables. Especially for the DJs out there, you may not have C or D trunks, which you guys have seen us load and unload countless amounts of times, whether it be for production gigs or, you know, corporate stuff. We've got a whole bunch of trunks that we take out to different events, and each has their own spot. But as a DJ, you may only have one trunk that you take out, and it's full of a lot of different things. So how can you make sure that you identify your cables? Now, in times past, it was very, you know, even today, because I've yet to take this tape off, you'd see, you know, on a lot of people's stuff, you'd see pieces of electrical tape or spike tape indicating what this cable was. And, you know, all of my cables that have blue ties on them, they are DMX cables. But as time goes on, you know, heat starts to become a factor with these things, and the tape either gets nasty, or you see if you pull it back, it's a bunch of gummy, just nastiness, and it's not the coolest way to tie cables or to identify cables. So I have since switched over to what I believe to be the best way to identify and mark your cables. I've switched over to identifying my cables with the small zip tie. Now this, you know, it's small, it's discreet. No one is really going to notice that is even there, and it doesn't leave any residue, which is the best thing about it, because if you're working, you know, gigs outside, especially like us here in the deep south, you know, we put a cable on the stage that's got this blue tape on it, and by the end of the gig, if it's an all-day gig where it's hot, by the end of the gig, you've got a lot of sticky, nasty residue left on your cables. That's just something you've got to go out and clean off later, maybe clean off in your downtime, but regardless, you've got to clean it. So we've switched over to doing everything with zip tie color coordination. So all of the blue ties, that's all 100% DMX. Now, if you have quote-unquote real lights that have 5-pin DMX, there's probably no need to even identify this, you know, because anybody can look at the barrel and see that it's 5-pin. But a lot of you DJs and, you know, production companies like myself still have a lot of fixtures that have the 3-pin DMX cable. So it's harder to identify what is exactly a DMX cable and what is a standard XLR. So any DMX cable in my shop gets a blue tie, and all of our power cables have some sort of green tie on them. So you might be wondering, well, it's green and red, what's the purpose of that? I have a ton of power cables, simply a ton. I probably have well over 150 or so different power cables that are just Edison alone. So I need to be able to identify what length they are. So with DMX cable, all of them are generally in that, 3 to 5 foot. So I don't worry about identifying lengths. But when it comes to, different varying lengths of cable, whether it be 25, 10, 50, 100, whatever, I want to be able to open the box and simply see what is inside the box that I need and quickly grab the cable out that I need. So for my power stuff, I've went with a 2-tie system. And it's very simple. Green means that it is a power cable, and B, that it's mine. And the different colors have different varying lengths. And you can see it on each side. Red is a standard 25 foot, so I've got a lot of these red cables in my bag, but I've also got some green and blues. That means it's a 10-foot cable. Green and white means it's a 50-foot cable, so on and so forth. This is going to help you keep your cables nice, neat, and organized, so whenever you open up that lid, you know exactly what you're grabbing right off the bat. So if you're making your own cables, there's a great way to identify your cables straight off the bat, and that's to get a label maker and get some clear heat shrink and apply your personalization to the cable right off the jump. As you can see with this stinger that I made right off the jump, it's just got a simple crown with this is a standard label maker with some heat shrink thrown on top of it. All the stuff that's like super small or miscellaneous that you're building yourself, it's always a good idea to invest in a label maker. Do it right off the jump. So these get stolen a lot on production gigs. They just end up in, if you're working with more than one company, it just happens that they end up in somebody else's box. It's just one of the things that happen when you're working with more than one company. But an easy identifier, and if you're building stuff for yourself, especially because it's going to be the easiest for you to apply that label and that heat shrink on the cable, is doing it right off the jump. And it's actually saved me a couple cables. I've actually shown up working with another company on another event, and I say, hey, that's mine. What is it doing here? Give me my cable back. Now, for everybody out there that doesn't make their own cables, there's no problem with that. If you don't have the skill or the know-how, or you're a little bit nervous about making your own cable, but you want to just buy a cable with your label already on there, there's also another option, and I can directly help you with this situation. As I get my camera a little bit straighter. There's a company right outside of my area called Elite Core Audio, and they specialize in cables, cases, production equipment, anything you need in the DJ production world. So a lot of the big rolling trunks that you have seen on my channel, whether we're rolling something in or out, a lot of those are OSP cases. That's one of their families of companies. A lot of my cables, such as this cable right here, come from them just because they make really good products at a really affordable rate. But one thing that they also do is they offer a free service for cable customization. This is an NL4 cable. As you can see, it's got a red tie on there because it's a 25 footer, but something that's even a little bit more trick is this. I don't know how well you can see that, but that is my logo. The logo that you see on my shirts and my hats and stuff, they actually put it on a cable wrap and sent it to me, and it's a part of a free service with their, if you buy a cable from them, if it's a cable that they hand make right here in the United States, it's a super dope cable, usually a lifetime warranty. If you buy one of these cables, they will put a tie on there with a graphic, whether it be your company name or your name itself. It's something that they're offering as a free service whenever you purchase a cable. They're great guys. They didn't pay me to say this. I've been buying stuff from them for years, but it's something that they just started doing here in the past 6 months or so, and I think it's a really, really cool service. So not only do you have the identifier of it being your cable, it's got your freaking logo on there, which is super slick. And this is stuff that's not going to cost you a lot of money, especially if you go like the DIY route. I've got a box just full of these zip ties. I bought it all off Amazon. I'll leave some purchase links down in the description below. But identifying your cables, just making sure that you know where your cables are at all time, or if you open up a trunk, you know immediately what cable you're going to grab out. It just saves you time, and time saves you money. So as we've got this downtime, you know, invest in your company and you know, make your cables identifiable, so that way you can prevent loss and really save you some time on prep. And that's going to be it for today's video. Super short, super sweet, and right to the point. Something that you can take and, you know, you can knock out all your cables probably in an hour or so, depending on how many that you have. Like I said, I don't recommend the tape method, whether it be spike tape or electrical tape. It gets too hot in the cases. A lot of you guys leave your stuff in trailers, and it just creates a nasty, sticky mess. Whereas these little, you know, craft zip ties from Amazon, they're going to last on there forever, and in order to get them off, generally you've got to cut them off. So that's going to be the best bet. I've been doing this for over a year now, and I've had no problems. Now I will say, don't get crazy when you're cinching them down, because you don't want to, like, you know, especially guys using cheaper cables, you don't want to cut off, you know, that cable. And 9 times out of 10, if you're cutting that cable off with a zip tie, you need to throw that cable away anyway, because it's trash. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, we've been doing a lot of reorganization here at the office. So once, you know, I kind of get everything how I want it, I'm going to do a full shop tour. That way you can see everything that I've got, how I've got it organized, what makes it nice and simple for me and the guys, and we'll just take it from there. So until next time, you can always follow me on social media, on, you know, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Shoot me an email if you've got a more in-depth question that you need answered, and we'll see you later.